Hunter Biden's defense counsel and say, let's extend the statute of limitations. And then at some point, they made an intentional decision to say, we're going to let the statute of limitations lapse. And I want to know who decided that and why they did it.
Mr. Weiss was a supervisor of the investigation at that time and at all times. He made the appropriate decisions, and you'll be able to ask him that question, and he will.
You know why they did it? Everyone knows why they did it. May not say it, but everyone knows why they did it. They didn't risk those tax years. That dealt with that involved the president. It's one thing to have a gun charge in Delaware. That doesn't involve the president of the United States. But Burisma, oh my, that goes right to the White House. We can't have that. And we can slow walk this thing along. We can even extend the statute of limitations, and then we can intentionally let it lapse. And we know this investigation was slow. Here's what everyone said. Shapley said, DOJ slow walked the investigation. Ziegler, slow walking in the approvals of everything. This happened at the Delaware's attorney's office and DOJ tax level. Mr. Sobocinski, the FBI agent, said, I would have liked to see things move faster. Ms. Holly said the same. Every witness we've talked to said this thing was slow walked, and we know why. They slow walked it long enough to let the statute of limitations run so they wouldn't have to get into Burisma. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I'm asking Mr. Garland the
I
question.
think I've tried to make clear that I don't know the specifics of the investigation. Much of what you are describing occurred during the Trump administration, during a Justice Department appointed by President Trump.
No, it didn't. This is 4.5 years, this investigation. We're talking the last few years. Your statement was just this year, March 1st, to Senator Grassley.
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to respond to your descriptions of what the IRS agents said about certain
Statute of
things.
limitations is 6 years. That lapsed here in the Biden administration.
On the statute of limitations, I will say again that the explanation for why the statute of limitation was lapsed, if it was, has to come from Mr. Weiss.
My time is but let me ask one last question real quick here. Who decided that David Weiss would stay on as U.S. attorney?
Look, this had occurred before I came. Mr. Weiss had been kept on. I promised the...
No, I didn't say you can walk all through that. I said, who decided? The White House decided. They serve at the pleasure of the president, right?
Mr. Weiss was...
Joe Biden decided to keep David Weiss as U.S. attorney. You weren't sworn in until March. He was told he was going to stay on in February. Pretty fundamental question. Who decided David Weiss was going to stay as U.S. attorney in Delaware?
Mr. Weiss,
your time has expired. Chairman, your time has expired.
I'm waiting for an answer now.
Well, then you asked the question after your time had expired already. Point of order.
Gentlemen can respond, and I'll go to Ms. Jackson.
Mr. Weiss was with a special this attorney from the District of Delaware when I came on. He had been appointed by President Trump. I promised that he would be permitted to stay on with this investigation, and that is what happened.
Gentlemen, in Jackson, is the rest of the chairman. Gentleman from New York. Mr. Garland, did you consider, I just want to go back to this question, did you consider anyone else when David Weiss requested special counsel designation on August 8th?
No, Mr. Weiss asked to be made special counsel, and I did not consider an alternative. Of course, to put in an alternative would have greatly disrupted an investigation that was already ongoing.
To be clear, he was the only one under consideration. It was either no special counsel, or if there was a special counsel, it was going to be the guy who presided over the investigation for the previous 5 years.
I thought about the possibility, what the consequences would be, both of not appointing him and trying to find somebody else at that time, but there was no other.
You had no concerns. I mean, the whistleblowers have brought forward all kinds of concerns. Earlier, when someone brought those up, you said, well, those are allegations. I think they stand up well. They've been cross-examined for 4 hours by Democrats in the Oversight Committee. But there were two facts that can be questioned. Two facts about the investigation to Hunter Biden. Fact number one, they let the statute of limitations run. They let it expire. And fact number two, the plea deal fell apart. So I just wanted to be made clear that the guy who presided over all that was the only guy under consideration for special counsel designation. Is that right?
Mr. Weiss is a person known for high integrity, for great experience in the prosecutorial realm, and he was appointed by the president.
That's fine. You can say all that. I appreciate what you're saying.
I have no doubts about his abilities in this
area. He was the only one under consideration.
The question was whether to appoint someone And I thought, I will say, what the consequences would be of trying to switch horses in midstream, but I did not consider any other.
Okay, on July 10th, he wrote Senator Graham, and he said, I've had discussions with departmental officials. He said, I haven't sought special counsel status, but I've had discussions with departmental officials. Who, and I don't know if this asked earlier, who did he talk with then?
I'm sorry, you're talking about the letter that he sent to
Senator Graham on July 10th.
Again, I'm not going to get into internal deliberations.
Okay, fine. Is there one person, though, who's like the point person at the Justice Department for David Weiss as he now is functioning as a special counsel in this investigation?
Mr. Weiss is now subject to the special counsel regulations, which require urgent reporting under certain circumstances, require him to consult with numerous places within the Justice Department.
Fine, you follow the statute. God bless you. That's what it's supposed to happen. But you said there's reporting. Who does he report to?
Again, I'm not going to get into this.
Is it you?
I'm ultimately responsible.
Is it the DAG?
Mr. Weiss did not have to report to anybody. He was the supervisor, decision maker in these matters.
Okay. We have votes on the floor. We have to take another break, Mr. Attorney General. We'll get back to as quick as we can. We'll start with the Democrats.
Sure.
I'll yield the balance of my time to the chairman.
Gentlelady for yielding. Mr. Garland, in David Weiss's letter to Senator Graham on July 10th of this year, he says this: I was assured that I would be granted special counsel authority if it proved necessary, and this assurance came months before the October 7th, 2022 meeting referenced throughout the whistleblower's allegations. How was that assurance given and who gave it?
I'm sorry, I think he was talking about 515 authority. Is that what you're... I'm reading the letter now. He's not talking about special counsel authority. It says that I was...
515 authority, okay.
Yeah.
Same difference. Yeah. Well, not the same difference, but same fundamental question.
I understand your point, yeah.
He's making the point that he was assured that this was... he could get this status, and that assurance came before October 7th, 2022. How was that assurance given and who gave it?
Yeah, I made that clear in my direction, and that was transmitted to him.
So you told him that back before October 7th?
I'm not going to get into exactly the deliberation of the department, but...
Three simple questions. How was it given? Who gave it? When was it done?
Yeah, I understand. I gave a direction from the beginning that he would be able to bring a case whenever, wherever he wanted to. That direction he heard, obviously, and he confirms that here.
I went a little over time, so I told the ranking member I'd extend to him a few seconds or minutes if he wanted to say a few more things.
Morning, Mr. Colley.
I yield to the chair.
Mr. Colley, the chair of my town share committee.
To the chair of the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Colley.
Thank the gentleman for yielding. Ms. Clark, who's Ava Edel?
Chairman, that is not a name that I'm familiar with.
Well, I'll try to familiarize you with her. She's an 87-year-old pro-life advocate who survived a communist concentration camp in Yugoslavia after World War II that you guys have charged under the FACE Act for praying and singing in front of an abortion clinic. Is that the best use of Justice Department's time and energy?
As noted, the FACE Act has been as a law that this body passed in response to efforts to obstruct access to reproductive health clinics, threats of violence, acts of violence. It violated facts and applied the law without fear or favor, Chairman.
Really? I think we've heard a lot of that today about how if you're pro-life, you get the full treatment. Just ask Ava Edel, 87-year-old concentration camp survivor. But if you're on the other side after the Dobbs decision, it's a different issue. In spite of what you said, that you apply it equally across the board. How about your decision to file a lawsuit against SpaceX? Can you talk to me about that?
Yes, Chairman.
Let me ask it this way first. Did Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter have anything to do with the Justice Department's decision to file that lawsuit against SpaceX?
The investigation into SpaceX was opened during the last administration, and we filed an administrative action under the Immigration and Nationality Act, an important law passed by this body with bipartisan support and signed into law by President Reagan.
What are you alleging that SpaceX did wrong?
In this case, we allege that the company is not compliant with the anti-discrimination provisions of the Immigration and Nationality Act. This is a law that has been...
They're discriminating against.
Here they are discriminating against people who have received refugee and asylum status by our federal courts under the INA.
They're discriminating against refugees and asylum seekers.
No, Chairman, against people who have received refugee status and asylum status by our federal courts and who enjoy equal standing under federal law to U.S. citizens and naturalized citizens. The law requires equal treatment of these individuals.
And you're saying that SpaceX did not hire, is that appropriate, did not hire enough refugees or people who've been granted asylum? Is that what you're asserting in the lawsuit?
And that they discourage those people from applying for any job, whether it's for a custodial position, office clerk, someone who works in a kitchen facility, all the way up through engineering.
So you're suing, I just want to cut to the chase, you're suing SpaceX because they hired too many Americans, too many citizens, not enough people who are refugees or people who've been granted asylum.
This investigation.
And you waited, this investigation started 3 years ago. I know the fact. It started 3 years ago. And yet you bring the lawsuit after Mr. Musk purchases Twitter, now X. Is that right?
We apply the laws that this body gave us without fear or favor.
And Mr. Musk, his assertion is that they're dealing with national security type information at SpaceX, and that's why he's even posted this before you brought the lawsuit. He said this, that's why they focus on hiring people who have a green card or are American citizens. And you guys say this is something we need to go after SpaceX because they're not hiring enough Americans, and we need to charge Ava Edel, 87-year-old concentration camp survivor. That's what the Justice Department and the Biden administration needs to do. But oh, by the way, we don't know anything about Missouri v. Biden. We didn't weigh in on the issue where a governor of a state told the citizens, they're American citizens, you cannot exercise your Second Amendment rights contrary to the law, contrary to what the Supreme Court has said. And you're trying to tell us today that the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department is not political. Frankly, I find it almost laughable that you're making that argument. Because if anyone with common sense and any objectivity can see, you guys are definitely political. Then I yield back. I thank the gentleman who's left for yielding time.
Well, I thank the Judiciary Committee Chairman. I would like to ask unanimous consent to insert into the record a letter from a Mr. Paul Teller, the Executive Director of Advancing American Freedom, to Attorney General Garland, Secretary Cardona, that is noting the significant spike in anti-Semitic vandalism, harassment, and violence across the United States. Asking the Department of Justice, Department of Education, who have expansive jurisdiction, particularly the Civil Rights Division, over these matters, to ensure that they're following up on that is signed by numerous groups across the country without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Clark, are you sure you don't know anything about Missouri v. Biden? You don't know anything about that case?
Thank you for the opportunity to clarify. This is a case being handled by our Civil Division, and I assure you, Chairman, that the
Have you read the opinion?
The Justice Department is compliant.
I didn't ask that. Did you read the opinion, either from the Western District of Louisiana or the Fifth Circuit opinion?
Anybody have a visual?
Ruling, but it's not a Civil Rights Division case.
All units, suspects heading north.
Mr. Bishop asked, you said you didn't know one darn thing about it. Now you're saying you gleaned, you looked at plans, or what?
I appreciate the opportunity to clarify. The Civil Division is handling this case, and the department is compliant with the court's.
First Amendment rights are pretty fundamental rights. That's something you don't think the Civil Rights Division should be involved in. This censorship.
Absolutely, Chairman. The First Amendment is a bedrock principle of our democracy.
Let me go a little different route then. Do politics drive the decisions at the Justice Department today?
Politics have no place in the work of the Civil Rights
Three
Division.
months ago, the New Mexico governor announced a 30-day ban on citizens' right to carry a concealed firearm in Albuquerque and the county that Albuquerque sits in. What did the Justice Department do when the governor did that unconstitutional order? What did the DOJ do in response to that unconstitutional action from the governor of New Mexico?
I am generally aware of the matter that you are referring to, but gun control is not a core issue that we handle.
Second Amendment, fundamental right, like the First Amendment, it's pretty important, isn't it?
These are very important issues to the department.
But tell me what the Justice Department did when this happened, when the governor imposed this unconstitutional ban.
I'm happy to bring your question back to my
You
colleague.
don't know that one either.
The criminal division and the civil
You
division.
don't know about Missouri v. Biden. You don't know what the DOJ did in response to the governor of New Mexico's action. Well, here's what the county sheriff said. He held a press conference saying that this thing was unconstitutional, unenforceable, and incapable of stopping and curbing gun violence. The New Mexico Attorney General, who's a Democrat, said this thing will not have any impact on public safety and does not pass constitutional muster. So then the Democrat Attorney General of New Mexico said it doesn't fit the Constitution, but you guys at DOJ don't do a darn thing? Is that what you're telling me?
Politics have no place in the work of the Justice Department chairman, but
Are you aware of anything the Justice Department did to that unconstitutional order from the governor of New Mexico?
not in the civil rights division, chairman, but I can certainly.
Roger, you're an important person in the Justice Department. Did the Justice Department do anything?
Yes, we enforce the laws that Congress gave us, Chairman.
No, in this case, did the Justice Department do anything?
I will bring that question back to
I'll give you the answer. They did it. They didn't file an amicus. They didn't put any statement of interest. They didn't do a darn thing. Which gets back to the point I think Mr. McClintock was making earlier. It shows, I think, how political you are, because when Texas passed a pro-life bill on September 1st, 2021, 8 days later, the Department of Justice announces an investigation into that bill. Now, this is what amazes me. That's a bill that actually passed the state House, passed the state Senate, was signed by the governor, and you guys are in there contesting that 8 days later. But you have something in New Mexico, which is an obvious direct assault on the Second Amendment, and it's an order from the governor. They go through the legislature. The governor does it, and the Department of Justice does nothing.
The Civil Rights Division is deeply committed to enforcing the laws that this body gave us and committed to standing up for the rights, the civil rights of all Americans, Chairman.
Well, you can say it, but based on some of your other answers, not knowing the first thing about Missouri v. Biden, not knowing what, if anything, was done, because nothing was actually done, relative to the governor's unconstitutional order regarding New Mexico citizens and residents, Americans, right, Second Amendment rights. This is why we're so darn concerned. I appreciate the chairman having this hearing. With that, I got 38 seconds. I'd be happy to yield to the gentleman from Arizona.
Thank the gentleman for yielding. I just wanted to ask this, recognize the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Bishop.
Ms. Clark, in the the Missouri versus Biden case in the district court, the court explained, quote, if the allegations made by the plaintiffs are true, the present case arguably involves the most massive attack on free speech in United States history, close quote. The court went on to find that the plaintiffs were reasonably likely to succeed on the merits of trial and at the preliminary injunction. The Fifth Circuit has affirmed. The Supreme Court has taken jurisdiction of the case. Of course, that's all civil litigation. Is any criminal investigation or prosecution of the persons responsible for that activity in the FBI, CISA, and at the White House and their co-conspirators underway in the Civil Rights Division?
Congressman, I'm not familiar with this litigation, but happy to bring your question back.
Thank you. So let me just make sure I understand that. You are not aware of the Missouri versus Biden litigation that is currently being taken up by the United States Supreme Court. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, I'm not, Congressman.
Well, assuming not, assuming that you're not aware of that, what reason would there be that the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department's leader is unaware of what
Thank
The
you.
United States District
Thank
Court
you.
has described as
Come
the
on, man.
most
Let's go
massive
show you they don't give a
attack on
fuck.
speech in the United States
We don't
history.
need these agencies. These agencies need to shut the fuck down. It's a waste of taxpayers' money.
You could share more of the facts that could be helpful, Congressman.
Otherwise, you just don't know. Is
No.
that correct?
Yep.
That's correct. Unfortunately, and this does not appear to be a case that I'm familiar with.
Good
Wow.
enough. I'm going to yield the
Wow.
balance of my time to the chair.
Wow.
So, go ahead. Okay. So, I find that to be astounding. I do want to follow up on the line of question of the gentleman from California with respect to the FACE Act implementation, because Ms. Clark, you dismissed saying, well, I can't.
Whose time are we doing now?
Go ahead, Mr. It's my time. I'll let the gentleman. I may ask to send it to the gentleman.
I just want to point out that there have been at least 35 cases of the FACE Act being applied to pro-life groups and or churches, or pro-life people that are anti-abortion. In your tenure, not even counting 2021, as the data for 2022 and 2023, versus the 4.
Merriweather, because security is a private matter. What can I do for you?
I would just ask, you're in possession of if you had a FOIA request that was responded to from a left-wing group, Center for Investigative Reporting. We've been asking for a copy of that FOIA about the prosecution levels of the numbers from your office for a long time, I think for almost a year, and we've not been responded to. So will you commit to sharing that FOIA request and all of the data of FACE Act prosecutions, specifically under your
Goodbye,
watch?
then.
I can absolutely bring this back to the division's FOIA officials and ensure that you receive a timely response. Please know that the division is committed to even-handed enforcement of the
Even under your watch, it's at least 35 to 1 or 2. And that is not even-handed. That's not even-handed. And importantly, Mark Hopp, who was targeted, had a raid of his home, prosecuted under this, was acquitted by a jury. Have you apologized to him on behalf of the Department of Justice for that grave violation of his civil rights, having his family have to watch him being raided at his home, and then he's acquitted by a federal jury? Have you apologized to him?
Well, we follow the facts and apply the law. That is our job. And we welcome opportunities to engage with other pro-life groups that may be experiencing threats or acts.
The answer to that is no. Does the
I'll give you my time. I yield to the gentleman.
I think the gentleman for you, I think every member, at least on this side, I would think every member, anyone watching, is just astounded that you are not familiar. The Assistant Attorney General for the Division of Civil Rights at the Justice Department is not familiar with a huge case, Missouri v. Biden, where in that case, I think it was 6 different federal agencies were found to be guilty of violating the First Amendment liberties of Americans. HHS, NIAT, FBI, DOJ, DHS, even the White House itself, and you are not familiar with that, is truly...
Nah.
I don't know what I think that's why the gentleman had time to get back, because he didn't know what I don't know what we say. That is it's in front of the Supreme Court, and the head of Civil Rights Division doesn't know. That is scary. If that doesn't in and of itself show that this Justice Department is political and doing things for political reasons, I do not know what does. I go back, and I appreciate the gentleman's question.
I think gentleman from North Carolina, gentleman from Ohio, gentlelady from Fort Lauderdale is now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assistant Attorney General Clark, thanks so much for being here. And I wanted to start by just personally thanking the...
Bunch of bullshit. Start thanking her after all that bullshit she done just did. Won't thank her now. Boy, we being played by these assholes like motherfuckers. It's time for us to stop bullshitting with these people and demand that these bitches go to jail for all the shit they done. It's some straight fucking criminal and corrupted bullshit going on. Too much of that shit, tell the truth. Wow.
So now that we've broken a felon out of jail together, does this mean we're homies? I mean, it's cool if we're not or whatever, I just... Never mind.